Welcome back to our program. I'm your host, Ray Guo. In this segment, we will continue our discussion with Mr. Martin Liu, who's the Managing Director of Amway Taiwan. And Martin, we were discussing about your tremendous historic experience of organizing and bringing in over 12,000 top sales representatives from Amway China to Taiwan. And this is such an enormous task. I will ask in the following question that from the beginning, of course, you need to do tremendous amount of planning, okay, and see how to prepare for this contingency, how to resolve that problems. But from the group 1 to the final group, group 9, there were in between the groups that you might have discovered there was some little problems in the previous group that you may want them corrected for the next group.
Of course.
For example, I remember watching on television that for the first group, when they arrived in the port of Keelung, a lot of your fellow sales representatives from China were looking for places or institutions or banks to have their renminbi exchanged into new Taiwan dollars.
Right.
But we didn't have that. We didn't have the facilities available right there. So they, even though they wanted to buy some souvenirs or do other shopping, but they couldn't do it because they didn't have the Taiwan dollars. But I saw that the second trip, the second group, when they arrived in Keelung again a few weeks later, then that problem is gone away. That's resolved, and they were easily, access to new Taiwan dollars that they could exchange their renminbi into. How did you, in the process, along with your fellow workers, to resolve those problems that may emerge in the course of these groups visiting Taiwan?
Well, I think I shouldn't claim the credit from that part. It's actually the flexibility of Taiwanese people and the government. They were so flexible. As you mentioned that on the first wave, our guests cannot find places to exchange renminbi. And we also find that most of the price tags were marked by new Taiwan dollars instead of US dollars or renminbi. And the description of those products or brochures was written in traditional Chinese characters instead of the simplified Chinese characters. That was wave 1. Well, we didn't do much, but Taiwanese people, those very entrepreneurial Taiwanese people, they made change immediately. Even before the government allowed renminbi to be legally swapped by the port. A lot of business people are in Keelung port in Taichung in Hualien from second wave. They start to receive renminbi as a valid currency. And they put price tag in renminbi, in NT dollars, and also in US dollars in very good exchange rate. So I think that is of the flexibility and smartness of Taiwanese people. But we, Amway as an organizer, we also met here and there a little bit improvement from wave 1 all the way down to wave 9. But I admire people in Taiwan. I'll take another example. We give our guests so-called food coupon or consumption coupon. Each and everyone got 500 Taiwanese dollars, equivalent almost 100 renminbi. So they can buy food in the night market in Keelung. In the first wave, before the guests arrive, we try to negotiate bargain and try to establish a service chain in the night market so our guests can use that food coupon to redeem. But it was the first time, so those night market stores, they hesitate. They are not that willing to accept those Amway print food coupon instead of cash. They would prefer cash, and I understand that. So at the end of that day, we probably got only 1/3 of the stores and shops and food stands willing to accept that.
And I remember also the first night it was raining in Keelung.
But then from wave 2 and all the way, the number of food stands or shops or stores who are willing to accept our consumption coupon increased by tenfold. And probably in wave 3 or wave 4, when I was in Keelung, I found that there are some shops which we didn't sign contract, And they put a signboard there. They said, "We are willing to accept Amway coupon."
Yes.
And I said, "Wait a minute, how could they accept Amway coupon?" Then I realized that they can swap the coupon they received with the other shops.
Yes, that have contract with you.
Right.
Yes.
So I think I saw the flexibility.
Yes.
And because those shops, they saw business from that group.
Yeah.
So I think that is a win-win solution.
Yes. And Martin, of course, we mentioned some of the problems that you encounter during the course of the past 2 months. But the fact of the matter remains is, even though the government here has allowed mainland tourists to Taiwan, since last year, many people claim that we are not really ready in terms of accommodating the 3,000 plus per day Chinese tourists to Taiwan. Some people claim that we don't have enough hotel rooms. Some people claim that our recreational facilities are not really maintained, and we're not able to offer that much more attraction. For example, I remember your first group, that visited the National Palace Museum. And they actually ran out of some of the souvenirs, including the Chinese cabbage, that's most favored by your, sales representative from China. They actually ran out in stock. So these are some of the things that you might have encountered in the last 2 months. So, what are some of the problems that you have identified that you think could potentially hurt Taiwan's tourism and retail industries?
Well, you mentioned earlier that why we use cruise instead of staying in a hotel.
Yes.
That was one of the reasons that we cannot find so many room nights in hotel rooms in one city for one evening, and then we can move to the others.
Yes.
And we want to put our guests in hotels as close as possible so we can easily serve them.
Of course.
But we cannot find that.
No.
And restaurant, for example, we cannot find a single restaurant in Taiwan, not Taipei, in Taiwan that could accommodate 15,000 people or 16,000, 1,600 people to sit together.
For one meal.
For one meal. So actually we split into a few restaurants at the same time, but we asked them to provide exactly the same cushions for our guests.
Yes.
I think Taiwan was not yet prepared for a big group which move from one place to the others.
Yes.
I'll give you another example. Our group visit Hualien.
Yes.
And that great gorge.
Yes.
Beautiful place.
Taroko.
Taroko. There's a place, Jiuqudong.
Yes.
In last few waves, there was some accident. Falling stone hit of the tourist and almost killed him. So the security measure was that they provide safety helmet for all the tourists. Great. But they got only 300 safety helmet available. Yes. And we have 1,000.
Yes, 600, yes.
So what we can do is just give it up. We move to another place, a safer place where we don't need the safety helmet.
Yes.
So it's a pity, but I think the capacity, we were not yet ready for such a big group like Amway. Well, in addition to the capacity or the size, I think in terms of quality, we still have Taiwan as a tourist spot. We still have a lot to improve.
Yes.
Buses, for example.
Yes.
We may not have enough buses to transport so many people at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, and but this experience that you had maybe will be a building block for in the future when you think about bringing your fellow sales representatives back to Taiwan. But I think over the course of the past 2 months, when the 9 groups successfully visited Taiwan, generally the public and the media reception has been very positive. Okay, I think of course your effort in terms of pre-educating your fellow top sales, is something that cannot be denied. And I remember that we were talking before the taping started, that you had actually, used the occasion before they embark on the trip to Taiwan, to let them know what are the do's and the don'ts when they do visit Taiwan. Right. And can you share with us some of the stories and the insights behind those experiences?
Well, we told our guests of those do's and don'ts. It's not only this time, not only the trip to Taiwan. Every year when we bring our guests to, like last year we brought them to Melbourne, or the year before last year it was in Gold Coast in Australia.
Yes.
We also give them the do's and don'ts. It's just like any
tourist
organizer will do to the guest. But this time I emphasize something that we didn't do before. I emphasize about how should they face media.
Yes.
Media attention to Amway, to this group was so intensive that some of our guests never faced a microphone, a camera before. And I told them that you are not criminals.
No.
You are tourists.
Yes.
You can proudly present yourself and say whatever you want to the media in front of the camera.
Yes.
But just don't mention about the sensitive part, political side or anything else. Well, there are some do's and don'ts which we added into after the wave 1. It was that in wave 1, Taiwan media was so intense, so
scrutinizing the group,
scrutinizing the behavior, any single behavior of our group, or somebody even make up stories.
Yes.
There was one of our guests were asked by the media reporters, please show us your wallet. So he just followed and showed the reporters the wallet, and the camera zoomed in, and there was a lot of money, a stack of renminbi.
Yes.
So I told our guests that don't do what the reporters want you to do. Do what you want to do. And the reporter will report instead of distort. But I found that Taiwan media in Taiwan was so...
Some people
they want story.
Yes.
And if they cannot find one, they might create one.
Yes. So some people once jokingly said the media industry is also in the manufacturing sector.
At that moment of time, I think it's right.
Yes. And finally, Martin, before we end this segment, if you get the opportunity to do that again, to bring top sales from China or other parts of Asia to Taiwan, would you do it?
Yes, I will. And we'll do it in very recent future. That trip brought us and our guests wonderful experiences. And I think the objectives we set 2 years ago when we want to bring the people to Taiwan, I think we achieved those objectives. Helping economy of Taiwan, I think we did.
Yes.
And improve or promote the exchange of two sides, we made it. And improve Amway reputation and image, I think we did it.
Yes.
So
it's a win-win-win situation for everybody.
So if I can do it again, yes.
In a moment, you would. Right. Okay, good. And we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to the Taiwan Outlook, where we'll continue this conversation with Mr. Martin Liu. I'll see you in 3 minutes.